What's going on? What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. I'm sitting here watching the game while this is going on. And one of the things that's been going on since the election and the election's over um, is this pseudo, you know, beef between black men and black women, about the presidency, right? And I'm going to take this a little bit further than just the election. And what I'm about to get at is something that's very much so more serious, is the the not knowing where what black men are thinking, or where black men are coming from, because you never ask. You never ask what we've thought. And it starts at a very young age, because one of the things that sparked me to make this video, what's up, D'Angelo, is when they uploaded the what's happening. Appreciate y'all. JJ, what's popping? Aubrey, what's going on? Chaos, what's happening? When they took that video viral of the young man getting berated by his quote unquote family or whatever, right? What's up, anime? And it's the idea that you don't care what you don't know what these guys think because you don't ask them. When the young man said in the video, you know what, this is why I'm not gonna vote. I'm never gonna vote again in my life. What's up, Marty? Nobody ever took that into consideration. And it starts at a very young age. This starts, you know, from childhood. You don't, as a child, you're taught to do as I say, not as I do. And I understand that because that goes on with both men and women. When you're boys and girls, you're young, you're coming up, you're growing up. You're not, you don't really know the world like you think you do. But as people get older, you start realizing, wait a minute, you never asked me what I thought. You just made a decision. And in our community, there's a lot of unilateral decisions being made, and it's just not by the women. Because shout out to Green Gorilla, because he went live earlier today with a brother. I look at the black community as black men, black women, um, black immigrants. What's up, Prometheus? And black LGBTs, right? Those are four different groups, as far as the adults are concerned. What's up, Dante? And out of those four groups, in my opinion, as a black man, only one group is black, and that's black men. And what I mean by that is all the other black women, black immigrants, and black LGBT community, they're all in the people of color. They're minority. They're people of color. I'm gonna check it out, Prometheus, because women can be a double minority from being a black woman and a woman. An immigrant, a black immigrant could be black, but at the same time I'm from another country, so I'm an immigrant, so I could get those. America has certain stipulations for immigrants. You know, appreciate that. Appreciate it. I'm gonna check it out then. I'm gonna check it out. And on the flip side of that, the black LGBT community, they are people of color minority thing, because of their quote unquote sexuality. So every time something happens to black men, those other groups can say we're all black, right? But at the end of the day, they're their own separate entity. They can opt out of actually just being completely black. Black men can't opt out of being black. We can't double minority it up. We can't people of color it up. You get what I'm saying? So, and that's in a political sense. So people don't take into consideration that what winds up going on is you never ask us what we thought, because those other groups are more so double-minded. They're all the way black when it's convenient. And you hear it in the conversation. You hear it in the speak when one of those groups have a negative thing going on, they're black. They're black people, right? But when they're doing something positive, they're a black. They're a different black section. If something happens, if black men do something positive, it's because of black people. If black women, if black immigrants, if black LGBT do something positive, it's black women or black or it's blacks from this particular country, or black LGBT or black gays or whatever you want to call it, then it's individualized. We don't go. We have that issue. You know, we have that. That's our. That's the rub with being a black man in particular. So because it's that way, you don't know what we think. People think that guys like the Maxine Water thing. Maxine Waters, I understand what she was saying. But like you're a traitor to the race, but Maxine Waters has Maxine Waters done for black boys and black men in particular in her years? Man, thanks, Mac. You know, I get that, black engineer. I definitely get that. But, appreciate it, Joshua. You know, he said you got to come to the man. You know what? I saw that, man, Joshua. I saw that. That's dope. I got to make it to the DMV one of these times. I do. You know, Simon was happening. Commenting was going on. JR was happening. D'Angelo. Yeah. So thank y'all. So what winds up happening is you can't say if Maxine Waters did something for black people, it would probably be black women, black immigrants, or black LGBT, black gays, or whatever. It won't be anything for black men. And all these groups have their own specifications. You know, what's up, Jessica? You know, but the thing about it is, nobody asks what we think. And this goes back to, like I was like, childhood, but also childhood is synonymous with fatherhood. So if you're a black father, nobody asked you what you thought. When you hear people talking about, who are adults, talking about what their father's point of view is and where their father's coming from, because people, you can have your own narrative when it comes to black men. It doesn't even have to be true. You got abandoned, you got, this person was abusive, this person was mean, this person was this. You actually only find out when people say, okay, have you spoken to your father? The answer is normally no, and for the people who say yes, it's normally well into their adulthood. So you don't know what black men are thinking. You know, you don't. And then when you find out what black men are thinking, or going through, or their human experience, or their experience in society, then it becomes I didn't, I never looked at it like that, because in most instances you were never even taught to even think of black men as people. You get what I'm saying? Black men are not looked at as people. And within the community also, not just outside of it. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Dante? Not just outside the community, but inside the community. Because we wind up being everybody, the vast majority scapegoat within the community. So when it starts with the fathers, it's like, black men are like this and black men are like that. But you was abandoned, quote unquote, by a black man. And black men weren't necessarily in your life because, what's up? Oh, wait, classy, what's happening? You know, and it's the father wasn't in the house, blah blah blah. The men your mother dated, if she dated, were no good. But that experience basically says black men are no good. Third world was popping. Trent was going on. So, and when they were good, it's an anomaly. It's not something that happens on a regular basis, to the point that you don't know what black men think. Because when black men do something nice for you and you view it as an anomaly, why would people, if that was anybody else, what's up, Tony? You would also assume that they're not going to do anything else for you. If it was if somebody else goes out of their way and makes a sacrifice for you and does something for you, and it enhances and betters your life, and you say, whatever, that's just a one-off. And then you say, hey, I don't know why these people won't do anything else, anything more for me. Then it's, bro, what's happening, fam? Anything more is because basically you disrespected their health. But nobody asks what black men think about when you disrespect our health. Nobody asks because what winds up being told is this is what men should do. Men should protect and men should provide and men should act like this and men should be this way and this is what men should sacrifice and this is why men should sacrifice it. And it's basically, I'm talking at you, but I'm never actually talking to you. And even if, even though men and women have specific gender roles, you might want to actually talk to that person in that gender role and actually have a conversation about their their motivations for getting it done, or their reasons for not getting it done. Their thought process. But when you look at brothers, it's like it's no thought process involved, which becomes problematic. Because what was happening is you assuming the thought process. And what I mean by that is in our community, most most of the men, what's up, Khalil? Most of the men and women, what's up, Eugene? Most of the men and women are raised by quote unquote single mothers or grandparents and stuff like that, right? So what winds up happening is when people come with these ideals and ideologies about black men, they're assuming by the way that they speak to us and about us that we're influenced the same way black women are influenced by the things that are going on in America. And, look at the media, and the media does this and the media does that. Well, the thing about it is men and women aren't influenced by the media this in the same way. Like what I see on TV can only influence me so much as an adult. And what I'm saying is was problematic is at the end of the day, yeah, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back, Osama. At the end of the day, you never ask black men what we think because you only think about black men in the ages of 13 to 25 max. So when you're talking about black men, when you go 26 and up, that's not who you're talking about. What you look at as black manhood is from 13 to 25. Because when boys, boys and teenagers predominantly, and young men do certain things, they're labeled black men. But you never ask black men. You get what I'm saying? You never asked them. You never asked any of us. Look at what these black men are doing. How old is he? Oh, you 22? Then black men like that. What about the guy that's 44? What about the guy that's 50? What about the guy that's 32? What about them? Like, what about the people who are actually grown? Black pill, what's popping? You know, and this becomes a problematic endeavor because, like I said, you're viewing black men's thought processes as the way that women view the thought processes of black men. Because, just because I was raised by my mom don't mean I think like my mom. Just because I was raised by my grandmother doesn't mean society, I catch all the societal cues of a black woman and make it my own because we have completely different experiences in this country. We have a similar experience by our blackness, but we have different experiences of the country, in and out as far as the racial component, but, no, that's what I'm talking about, Jessica. It's kind of funny that what you put down there in particular. Oh man, I'm not on StreamYard, so I can't just post up the comment like that anymore. But you're talking about, like you said, black women have been made the face of the transgender community. If that's not disrespect and exploitation, I don't know what is. You think we are winning? This is actually not about man versus woman per se, but that's a road that actually black women went down. It's called LGBTQ, right? If you on a, if you you know if lesbians are black women and gays can relate to black women and bisexuals can relate to black women, then transgenders can relate to black women. That's involved. And queer can relate to black women. That's a Yeah, that's a team that you chose to, be on. Black men can't do nothing about that. You can't. That's not. You can't choose to be on a team and then go, oh, that's disrespectful what they doing to us. That just doesn't make sense. But even with that, even with that community, black men get blamed for so many different things. You know, when it comes to that, I'm like this because of men, or and I get when people say something like, you got molested as a child, and it caused sexual confusion. I definitely understand that, but the thing about it is, past that, these men don't like me because of my sexuality. When truth be told, most black men who are heterosexual are not thinking about that community because we're heterosexual. We're thinking about heterosexual women, or maybe bisexual women. You know what I'm saying? Because they get in relationships with heterosexual men. So we don't even, so every time when people say, oh, black men are this and black men are homophobic, black men are not around homosexual people like that. Y'all not come. We don't come to y'all spots. Y'all don't come to our spots. That's okay. That's what it is. But putting the the narrative out like we got an issue. What's up, Micah? Is not real. But nobody asked us what we think. Why y'all so homophobic? I don't. We don't think about that community like that, and we don't kick it with that community like that, and it's kind of like a one-off when we do. So what exactly am I supposed to ingratiate myself in their society, to like them or not like them? These are places that I don't go and I won't frequent. Like, two different cultures, right? It's two different cultures, but people want to tell us what we think about it, which is ridiculous. But same thing that goes on, with part of that went on with the political climate. These black men voted Trump 17%. What's the problem? To be perfectly honest, 17% of black men voted for Trump. So 83% voted for, you would say, Biden, but I didn't vote for either. So I don't know where they getting. There's an amount of black men who voted Green, Independent, and Libertarian. But those guys don't count. It's just a one-off thing, right? What's up, Bucket? You know, Tony, what's happening? And what you come to find out is, okay, so you say 17% of black men voted for Trump, and then you say 8% of black women voted for Trump. When it comes to a racial makeup, as far as voting Democratic, that's still 1 and 2. That's still 1 and 2. Like, black women voted at the highest rate, and black men voted at the second highest rate Democratic. So, it is what it is. You know, yeah, but I'm just using the numbers that they came out with. I couldn't vote for Kanye because he wasn't on the ballot. I would have done it. You know what I'm saying? But this thing about what guys think, because this goes back to the Ice Cube thing, and like I said, the young man who was in the car and his family was getting on him. And the thing about that sparked this, going back to that a little bit, is you told a kid who to vote for, and when he didn't do what you want to do, you as a family posted this young man online and ridiculed him and made fun of it and uploaded it like it was okay. But at the same time, we're supposed to be in this together, right? You disrespected your own son publicly for the world to see. And he didn't even vote Trump. He just didn't do what you wanted him to do. That's a problem, right? Yeah, it is like they assume we stupid. So, and the fact that, you got mama cussing at him, you got grandmama on the phone cussing at him, and then you got the sister videotaping it laughing. You don't ask what we think. You don't ask. You don't ask. And when years go by and a young man, say he doesn't live by that family anymore, and he's moved on and he's moved to a different city, a different state, maybe a different side of town within the city, and then people are like, I don't understand why these guys abandon him. Incidents like that are really the reason, but but you won't ask what he thinks about why he's not rocking with his quote unquote family like that anymore. You know, yeah, I know it, but in Texas, it was it was it was Republican, Democratic, Libertarian, and I want to say Green, or it was only four. So Kanye wasn't on it. You know, there's only four presidential candidates. Which, by the way, people don't understand. What's up, Sister George? Hope all is. I appreciate you letting me come on earlier too. And this is where I wasn't finna do all that right now. No, forget it. So now we're in a situation where you don't ask what black men think, and it's problematic because let me take out the Democratic Republican part of it. Years ago, I said black men and black women have probably different political interests. And what I mean by that is this. If black men are conservative or black women are conservative, it doesn't matter. That's supposed to be like part of that is traditional family tradition, right? And you're dealing with a population of our community that is predominantly a single mother household. That community gets a lot of tax breaks. So you're asking black men who are going to get to vote for, I would say, democratic tax policies that will have them pay more taxes while they have children with women who they're not married to who are going to get tax breaks from having the kids, for one, and they're going to get, and they're going to get tax-free money. But not thinking that these guys are like, look, I need to lower these taxes because I can't get taxed high and be paying this child support, and they receive a tax break. That'll leave me in a bad situation. You never ask what these guys think. And these guys, for the guys who get married or remarried, and then some people up the child support or up the and that's a minority population because the vast majority of Black America is not married in the first place. So who's going to get taxed high as a person who's single in that single tax bracket? You get what I'm saying? Because there's no cushion. There's no cushion whatsoever. So now you're not asking these guys what they. Why would you vote this way and that way? Because he's trying to save his own pockets. It puts money in his pocket to vote a more Republican than it does to vote more Democratic. It puts money. It puts money in women's pockets, which that I understand. That's why a lot of women, black women, vote Democratic also. Because it puts money in your pocket. It's not. We have two different interests financially because when certain guys start realizing that, and I'm talking more so on local elections than I'm talking of presidential, right? So that's a whole nother different ball game, and you never ask these guys what they think. You never ask I remember when we were, on YouTube, you know, look at this, shenanigans. I should time you out. I should time you out, hello bundle. But I ain't gonna do you like that. But so now what winds up happening is the same thing about the guys building. You didn't build anything, you're not building anything, you're not creating any wealth. You never ask these guys what they think about building what for who. Because if these guys are getting taxed already, what's up, Joyce? Well, hello, what's happening? If these guys are getting taxed financially, you want them to build while they're getting taxed. For the same people, for the same group of people that's actually taxing them. And I'm not talking about the government at the time. I'm talking about, the mothers of their children. So I'm gonna build for the mothers of my children who are already taxing me, in family court. You never ask these guys what they thought. Hey, LJ, what's popping? And this becomes a bigger issue because assume like we have to you want men to assume that we're all on the same team. Well, as I said earlier, you can opt out of being black. Black men can't opt out of being black. You know, you can't. Like everybody else can opt out. They have a little back door to be in the people of color category. You know what I'm saying? Ah, cool. You know, so and that's exactly what I'm talking about right there, Jessica. You know, the narrative has to be, you know, the narrative about black men is so far, nobody takes into consideration when the narrative about black men is so far left that what about people in their regular day lives aren't seeing what everybody else is complaining about. You get what I'm saying? Same thing about the narrative of black men. The black men you need to worry about are the guys who are, say, criminals, right? You know, the same, you know, we need to worry about what's going on with the criminal element and get them right. And at the same time, that same criminal element is the criminal element you use to say black men are no good, cheaters, losers, abandon their families. So you skip over the whole element of the working men. You just and you don't ask those working men what they think. You don't ask the guys, take care of yourself, fam. You know, go. I will check that SNL part out. I will. You don't ask the working men what they thinking. You don't. You know, what's going on with your life? He's just supposed to be working for you. You know, he's supposed to be doing, you know, you're supposed to benefit off of him in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You know, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, classy young man. 64% of black men are middle class earners. And nobody in the black community asks those middle class earners that are black men what they think. The church don't ask, you know. The families don't ask. The politicians don't ask. You know, the community itself doesn't ask. And that in itself becomes a culture shock. What's up, Alvin? It becomes a culture shock because when you hear black men started speaking about what our interests are and which direction we're gonna go, it's a culture shock because you didn't know because you never asked. You made an assumption based upon a narrative that you put upon black men. You know, I assume black men are this, this, and this. I believe that black men act like this, this, and this. I believe black men think like this, and this. What's up, KC? You know, so guess what? This is what they're gonna do. But you never asked what they were gonna do. You just decided to make a unilateral thought process. You know, what did they say about making an assumption? You make a what out of you and me, right? And that happens, you know. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. Ushrad, I get it. You know, so what winds up happening at the end of the day, we're in these situations where you have people's feelings hurt because they made a judgment call based on a question that they never asked. You know, I assume you was gonna do this because I thought you would do this because I think you are this. So because I thought you were this is what I thought you was gonna do. So you're shocking me if you didn't do it. You know, so it's like, come on, you know. So now we have this whole scenario where we got 4 different communities within the community itself, and nobody asks where do we stand? You know, what direction are we going in? And the thing about it is, what's up, manifesting dreams? Since nobody asked, and we take it as okay, you don't care, because if we try to say it, it becomes a negative experience, an experience where guys, you know, you got to over talk a guy, or you got to undermine his point of view, or you got to throw in some straw man argument that can turn the conversation into something else because you don't want to deal with his perspective. So because of that, it's like, okay, so you don't care. So how about I'm gonna just do what's in my best interest. And when we do what's in our best interest, then all of a sudden it's looked at as anti-black. And for a lot of black men, it's like most of the groups in black America are anti-black, but in the way that they conduct themselves in American society. You know, so it's not, don't act like we're all a team, all, you know, all for one and one for all. It's not like that. So what you're seeing is black men really opting out of of unity. What's up, Joyce? You know, of unity, because and it's a necessary thing, because if black men say, okay, this is my black male experience, so black woman, you got your black woman experience. Black immigrant, you got your black immigrant experience. Black rainbow flag folks, y'all got y'all black rainbow experience. What we gonna do from this point on? If my experience is different from yours, I'm not gonna allow you to piggyback on my experience. You know, and that goes both ways. I'm not gonna black. You never seen black men piggyback on the black gay experience or the black immigrant experience or even the black or the black woman experience, because it's different. We can't, you know. But you never ask the guys what we think. You know, what are we thinking? You know, part of when Shahrazad Ali wrote her book, to me, that was part of the underlying things, that nobody asked what these men are thinking. Nobody asked. You know, what's up, breadwinners? Like, nobody took the time to sit down and say, you know what, maybe that's wrong. You know, and not what I do to a person or what I say to a person. Maybe it's wrong that I've made a decision about a person and I roll with that decision without even coming to an understanding with that person. You get what I'm saying? And this is a problem. And now you have issues. You know, a lot of people have issues with us as black men. And what's interesting is, even with this, what's up, Ryan? Like, even with this whole political scenario, let me give black women, so what's up, Mo? You know, let me give black women some advice, just from a black male point of view. I know some of y'all think that, you know, black men was chauvinistic for not, quote unquote, voting for Kamala Harris, right? Or not liking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You had, it's a bit of misogyny and chauvinism in that, and anti-woman, right? So what's going to wind up happening for you ladies, because the assumption is, you know, Biden probably is too old to make it through the president, so she might be the actual first black, quote unquote, president, female president. And here's the thing. No matter how you slice it at this particular point, black men was trying to tell you that you're about to see the other side of intersectionality. And what I mean by that is, the white women are not going to like you. You know, they're going to really show it. The white men are really going to show it. You know, and the Hispanics and the Asians are really going to show it. And even the LGBT community is really going to show it. You know, the immigrant community, not so much, because Kamala Harris, one, her mother's Indian and her father's Jamaican, you know, and black women are going to, and this is not the public part, you know, of taking shots at a president and a vice president. That's normal. Everybody's going to get that, no matter who it is, right? What's going to be abnormal for black women is it's going to affect you on your job. It's going to affect your little girls in school, because the teachers are going to want to put you in your place. And these are little school teachers, you know, your high school teachers are going to put you in your place. See, your daughters are about to get treated like your sons have been treated pretty much in this whole school things, right? So what's up, Xavier? So now you're about to actually look at, the educated black woman. She's, they're about to put a clamp on your education just to mess with you. And this is probably going to be your first actual true dealing in America as close to what black men have been going through. And all you ladies who are in management with the attitude and the sassiness and not necessarily just attitude and sassiness, the idea that you have to be aggressive and to be, to get men's attention, you already know men don't like it already. But now they're gonna have a little extra little dig at it because they don't want that, I don't want you to ever believe you're gonna be the president of the United States type of confidence, right? So it's gonna be a problem, you know. Absolutely, Trenton. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. My friends with daughters, male or female, they like, yeah, we gonna find out something. And it's not like, guys just didn't appreciate what Biden, Harris, and people didn't appreciate Trump either. So, some people are just like, either way, it's gonna be some sucker stuff. So we get it's a win for women and black women, but at the same time, that whole, even with Kamala Harris' husband being white, is that part of the hypocrisy of it is going to pop up also. Well, man, that's what's popping. So you're going to have this dichotomy that a lot of sisters are not prepared for because they're not prepared for society and to come at them in that way. You know, it's not prepared for it in that way. You know, yeah. I figured that and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But you never asked black men what we thought. So when guys try to say things like what I'm about to say, you'll probably dismiss it like, I don't know if that's gonna happen. And this goes into the protection piece of black America. These are the warnings that black men are trying to give the black community, whether it's the women, whether it's the immigrant, whether it's the even the gay community, if we talk to them, that at the end of the day, it's not really a glass ceiling; it's a black ceiling. You get what I'm saying? And and even when it comes to thinking of America having glass ceilings, because we said when you're black, it's a glass ceiling. I think when you're Hispanic, it's a glass ceiling. When you're Asian, it's a bamboo ceiling. Well, really, what it is when people created companies in America, they didn't create them for you to be the CEO and CFO of them, right? They created that company to be a system that if their family didn't inherit the power, position, and wealth, then their friends would, or their friends' family, and this, that, and the third. You ain't, and we ain't in that mix. And while at the same time, using politics and the government and racism as a bargaining chip to make sure other people can't create businesses that look like ourselves in a sense within the country and globally to compete so we can do that for our own. So even if you're highly exceptional, the probability of you taking over an entity is anomaly status, right? But you never asked us what we thought. You never asked, you know. So, and I hear what you're saying. Like, and I just saw somebody say black men need to be in front. Well, the issue with that is you never asked us what we thought, and I remember what was it? South Park had that movie. We're going when they went to war. We're gonna call it the Black Shield. All the black soldiers are gonna be in the front, and they're gonna be the initial infantry that goes to war. And then after most of the killing is done, then the white soldiers are gonna come right behind them, and then we're gonna win the war. You never asked those black soldiers what they thought, because when the war started, they both scattered. It's like, no, no, no. We're not finna be on the front lines dying for you so you can get the glory on the end. Been down that road, done that. So we're doing things differently. We're looking at things differently. We have to look at things in a different manner than everybody else. We can't help and be there for everybody else when they've shown they can't be there for us. Q James was popping, you know, and a lot of this stuff is coming to it will come to a head more so in the near future than say 10, 15 years. This is gonna probably happen in the next 2, 3, 4 years. I don't think blood is gonna come. I think, when people say, if Trump wins, we're going to riot and all of that stuff. If white people do that, they're gonna be fighting with other white people. Like, as a black man, I understand if they going white people are not going to be riding to predominantly black neighborhoods to shoot people. Now I live in the suburbs. I got to keep my head on the swivel. I could be a soft target. Like, same thing with black women and children. You and your kids could be a soft target because of these quote unquote scenarios. You know, and people never ask. Uh oh. The Chargers and the Raiders are really getting at it right now. But you never figured that out. Yeah, yeah. When Isaac Hayes was the general, what's happening, Melvin? So you never asked what these guys thought, and now it's going to be coming to a point where, at the end of the day, you ever been in a room with somebody who you never asked, and when everything failed, went the wrong way, you know? I got you, Marty. You know, uh, you ever been in a room with somebody who you just never asked they never asked for their input, and when it all went down, you was like, "Well, what do you think?" And it was like, "Hey, you know what? You didn't care, so we're gonna keep doing what you're doing, and since it don't work, I'm not gonna take the fall for that." Robert, Ronan, I'm bugging. Thanks, fam. You know, yeah, yeah, yes. Is it Is it Tana? Tina? You know, I know the last name says because I'm a football fan. So, so you wind up in this predicament, and the men are just tired of not being talked to, and now you're getting this. It's not really a backlash. I remember when people back in the day called it the wall of silence, or guys just that's part of quote unquote divesting. It's like, why would I be around people who don't want my input in the first place? And because you never ask, you don't you're not going to be abreast of what's going to happen next. You know, you know. Well, that happens. We have a fundamental issue right now. You know, no, I don't think it'll be the final nail in the coffin for our community. Because at first I was thinking, our community was gonna have an issue, but do I have bullies? I fight, so don't know. But it's more important to avoid a fight. So I'll avoid a confrontation, so I don't have to get into one. But I don't do bullies well. If somebody actually presses that, you have 12 bullies. You must be a kid. You must be a kid. You're not an adult. You can't be an adult having 12 bullies. I think Ice Cube did the right thing, and I think the black community. I'm gonna go back a little bit. I think Ice Cube did the right thing, and the black community will understand in the future. You know, yeah, okay. Don't worry, you're gonna grow out of being bullied. You're gonna grow out of being bullied. Just do some workout, push-ups, get your sense of humor going. You know, and get into sports. People not gonna mess with you, but you got to go through that process. But I think our community isn't done because I don't. They shut this country down again. The vast majority of America is going to be, broke. And I think black people as a community, we deal with poverty better than pretty much anybody else in this country. So white people in particular, they're gonna have this is bigger problem on their end. This debt is a huge problem on their end that they gonna have a hard time dealing with. You know, yeah, the Democrats might have cheated, but on one end, we used to say, people say, Democrats don't have no heart or no guts or no testicular fortitude to do some gangster type stuff that you would see Republicans do. And guess what? If they cheated, they did some gangster type stuff that Republicans do. So it is what it is, you know. Uh-oh. And if I know you're hearing this, Arizona just scored. So it's probably gonna be 31-24, third quarter, whatever. Kyler Murray just ran in. What's up, Cynical? So now, to me, this is our group is gonna have a great chance, but we're gonna have to take advantage of kind of the collapse, you know. I don't know about that. I don't know if you spelled it right. I'm not sure. But let me get to this. He said, brothers, you got sisters, what you come get. Look, Jessica, don't nobody want your Pop-Tarts, baby. We know you can't cook. You too late. You make us a plate of food. You know, you can't cook. If you could have cooked, we would have been there already. It's Sunday, we would have been watching the game with a Miller Lite, a High Life, a Heineken, or a Corona, something, but you can't cook. Anyway, but we're at a point as a group where I think since you never asked the men what we thought about situations, you're gonna have to figure out what we were trying to tell you. And what we're trying to tell you is America got backup plans. America got backup plans. And in their backup plans is to undermine you. And you know, even if same thing that goes with the immigrants and the LGBT in the alphabet community, right? Hispanics and Asians have a different thing going on because there's a huge population of Hispanics that on paper are white, whether they're white or not. You know what I'm saying? And with Asians, they can really go back to their home country, because their home country is doing quite well. Well, China is doing quite well. Japan also, though. So they can always go back home. India is going to, in India also. So, America is just like a American dream type of thing right now, but the dream's over. It's 5:42 my time. But we're going to have a bigger problem at the end of the day because what winds up happening is, I noticed this, and I think most black men notice this. When black men when we speak what's going on, black women, black immigrants, and black alphabet community, they have a difference of opinion because that's not going to happen to them because they know how to opt out of blackness. They know how to pull out the woman card, to pull out the immigrant card, to put out the gay card, right? So they get it. They get, oh, that's going to happen to you because you all the way black. I'm all the way black sometimes. Take care, take care. So now what's going to wind up happening is y'all going to have to make a choice because America, when the economy collapses, when the money is funny, you're going to be all the way black now. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be all the way black now. It ain't going to be no getting around it. I'm from this place, I'm from that place, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. The things that are easy, like beauty won't help you, right? Having a home country won't help you because your home country's in debt. Most black folks who are immigrants from a different country, their homeland is not necessarily financially sound on the global scale. So not going back home is kind of a issue also. And the black gay community, you know, you're gonna have to deal with racism between that's within the rainbow flag within itself. And now you're gonna be black. But the problem with that is, you know, you're gonna have an I told you so moment with black men. And and black men still can't trust you. You know, that's gotta be proven. It ain't no open welcome with open arms type of thing. Because you never asked us what we thought. You know, you know. So now we got this problem. You know, at the end of the day, like let me say some things that have been on YouTube, right? Like, um, I know like ladies used to talk about colorism, right? But in reality, even when women thought colorism was an issue with black men, you didn't ask us what we thought. You didn't ask. You know, if I'm dark, so he don't like me. What's up, Roger? You know, I'm dark, so he don't like me because I'm dark. But and you like that girl because she light. But you can assume that the guy likes the dark girl, or assume that the guy, doesn't like the dark girl. Assume that the guy doesn't like the or likes the light girl. It is what it is. You never ask the guy. You just assume he don't like me, so it must be a color issue, which that's a problem. Same thing when it goes to interracial dating. That's a problem. It becomes a problem. Like you like you like white girls and Spanish. Eh, it's not like all these groups of our first choice and or whatever. You never ask. So when guys brought into, no, we like people who are feminine who actually act like they like men, then it was like, I thought it was because of the color. No, it was because of, too much, too little femininity. You know what I'm saying? Same thing that goes on when people say, um, when there was the debate about the thug and the educated lame. You didn't ask, the men started saying what we thought about it. We started saying, okay, it's like this, it's like this, it's like this, because you can see there were wins on both sides and there were losses on both sides. But when people started interjecting what they felt, and it became an issue. And what I mean by interjecting what they felt is, guess what happens? This title is you don't ask black men what we think. You never asked us what we thought or think. When you interject your feelings, you still not asking what we think. So you feel like I'm this. I feel like you that. I believe you're this. I believe you that. But you ain't ask what I thought. You didn't ask the actual answer, right? And then it becomes more and more and more of an issue. And what I'm and it spills over to the financial aspect of the black community, because even with the quote unquote get the bag, and it ain't like the male and female dynamic per se, but what it is you're starting to see black men more conscious about their financial situation, about how I spend my money in this society, in this economy, and how I maneuver in this society, in this economy, because people think I'm gonna. You remember that old video, how to sell to the Negro? What's up, American Negro? This is how you sell to the Negro. See, even, that was years and years ago. But now it's to the point that even white America does not really know how to sell to the black man, because we don't follow a protocol. We're unpredictable. You get what I'm saying? People are, well, we're going to buy Jordans, and they're going to buy it. Truth be told, we're unpredictable. And this is why it's the same culture shock that people have, because there's a demographic of us that wear suits, demographic of us that wear ties, loungewear, workout gear, a different. Some of us are in the big cars, some of us are in the small cars. You don't. And when it comes to spending money, chicken and watermelon. Plus, you got the demographic of Black America that shifted in food in itself. Like we don't. You're seeing we're not really eating. We're getting away from eating very unhealthy, right? So you don't know what people are thinking, because not you're realizing black men are thinking about longevity. And when people think about longevity, they're unpredictable because they have multiple ways to approach longevity. So this this idea that, you know what, these black men are about, they're driven solely by sex and being flashy, and then people lump on they want to be white type thing, and it's like, all right, cool, I'm flashy, I'm driven by sex, and I want to be white, no problem. All right, so because of that, you're not even gonna know what I think. And I'm not even gonna waste my time to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. It's just not gonna happen. And when guys are not driven by sex, and they're not driven by being flashy, and then they're not wanting to be white, then it's like, what are you? You're not what I thought. What I think you black men are. And it's like, oh, okay. You never asked me what I was, remember? And sometimes you got, what a lot of brothers really do is, we can hide within your stereotypes and be something completely different so we don't have to deal with you. We're great at that. I look exactly like what you think all of your stereotypes look like, and I'm something completely different. So you won't see me coming a mile away, and I could give you the whole game. I could tell you everything, but you ain't gonna believe it because you're responding to a stereotype. That's all. You're responding to a stereotype, and America's having that issue now. America is having that issue because, a lot of America's own stereotypes came to bite them in the butt. Island Fist, what's happening? Torrance, what's going on? Brown Bird, I ain't say what's happening, my bad. Debo, what's popping? So now we're in this situation where you didn't ask me what I thought. And you think I'm somebody else. And this is part of the whole even slow on guys having kids. You said like 51% of black men don't have kids, and like you said, 64% in the middle class. While people are saying, that the women are killing it, and the women are great mothers, you seeing guys at the same time be less likely to have children and more likely to be in the middle class at the same time. But those facts don't come into play. That you're dealing with a mindset that you never even fathomed because you made up your mind that it was something else. And now we're dealing with, say, generational issues. And what I mean by that is people are twisting history about what black men were doing in the 60s, 70s, 80s. You know what I'm saying? Oh, black men abandoned their families in the 60s. But if I'm not mistaken, in the 60s, black community was still married at like 80-something% clip. You get what I'm saying? So black men weren't abandoning their families in the 60s, but you didn't ask because the narrative is bigger. The 70s, I guess it started tapering down, but the 80s with the drug era, not just the drug era per se, but drug era and more so government programs starting to reach a high number, created something different, because when I was born in 79, and I was born to teenage parents, and my parents had to get married because that was still in play. My mother got kicked out of school for being pregnant. That was still in play. So the 80s is really, to me, where, the single parent household and all of these stereotypes of what black men were in the drug era and all this, and welfare all coming together. Because prior to that, most black women that are older than me, I remember them saying, look, I'm not going to depend on the government, you know, and that's a whole different thing where you put a narrative on black men in the 60s, a narrative on black men in the 70s, a narrative on black men in the 80s, a narrative on black men in the 90s, a narrative on black men in the 2000s, a narrative on black men in the 2010s. And the problem with that is you're dealing with black men who were either alive in all of those time frames, alive and cognizant, or they were around somebody who is alive and cognizant. We still have parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles who were around in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when we weren't, even when we were little kids and we didn't really know what was going on in certain things. So you didn't ask black men what they thought. You was in your and people are twisting history to say this what was and this is why things are like this now. And guys are looking at it like, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And now you're dealing with men in a different aspect. You know, the women are the most educated. No problem. But black men are predominantly since what, maybe the 30s, 40s, 50s, somewhere around that. There came a point where the military was black men's way to get up into society. So a lot of times, so the black men have been using the military at a high clip for decades. So that circumvents the education. That's why some of y'all, some of people who went to college, your grandfather was in the military, or he probably didn't get a chance to take care of all of the benefits back in the day, but you might be able to get the loans from the Navy Federal or stuff like that. You might be able to get the veterans benefits on the back end. So but people take that out of the equation. You know, it's a shoot, Roger. Go when you get off, do your thing. Yeah, your GI Bill and all that. Like it was a completely different thing. You didn't. Nobody asked what those grandfathers thought about. Did they want to go off to war? No. Did they like war? No. But they went to war to feed their family. That's what that was. What's up, Miss Witt? Prime time. What's happening? You know, the majority of black men is done. What's up, Randy? That's what it is. Saint Nick's, what's popping? My bad. You know, so now we playing. You know what? Don't be flirting with me out here, woman. So now you're not asking what black men think, and the same thing goes to the family dynamic, the real estate dynamic. General, what's up, huh? The real estate dynamic. I was talking to my aunt about that. Okay, and this is my family history, right? So it's like my great grandfather owned land, uh, cattle, and no, I would not. Land, cattle, and oil. When my great grandfather died, I want to say the 60s, 70s, something like that. It's before I was born. White people wanted the land in that area, so guess what? They tried to kill my great grandmother to get it, right? So that's how, in essence, our family lost that land. And I'm talking, it's got to be like late 60s, early 70s, something like that. My grandfather was a Korean War vet, and he came home. He couldn't take advantage of the governmental loans and that for veterans because of quote unquote Jim Crow, of course, right? But he was also one of those black men who had to buy a home and have like a, not necessarily like a white underwriter type situation. What's up, truck? I ain't see you. My bad. And what wound up happening was they swindled him out of the family home, right? So my parents, but my grandfather was such a dope dude that even though he got swindled out of that home, he wound up before his death paying off another home. So one of the homes that I grew up in as a child was actually a house that my grandfather paid off before he died, because he's a dope dude like that. But that home is not in the family anymore. More so because of movement and family and this, that, and the third. So now we have an issue, right? And then you go to the generation like my parents. My parent, my parents don't own anything per se, you know. And the goal for me is to, like, I gotta own stuff, because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let. I don't want to happen to me. I don't want to happen to my grandkids the same thing, the same situation that me and my family was in, where you wind up starting from scratch multiple times when you didn't have to. Well, when you had to. I ain't gonna say you didn't have to, because there was a lot of interference, you know, and this becomes an issue, you know. Nothing can. So what winds up happening is you didn't ask us what we thought. And part of us is when you see guys being single and not getting married and not having kids, a lot of these guys are really trying to, not get caught up in the family court system, because what winds up happening is that family winds up without anything to inherit. But you didn't ask us that. You get what I'm saying? You didn't. This is why some of the guys are not. A lot of guys don't want to get married, because divorce takes away of the inheritance, and even if you have a blended family, you know, the other family, say the wife's family of the divorce, is not going to take care of the property, because they're not going to respect it, because they kind of got it by in a crookish way through divorce. So guess what? They're not going to have it either. So basically, you're going to wind up with absolutely nothing. But you never asked the guys what they thought, and why we're thinking like this. We have to think completely differently of America. Yes, yeah, Ron, it's always been about that. It's always been about that. But nobody says, oh, but if we're together, being together is not working, because people are not just financially literate, but they're fiscally irresponsible. And you know, when you're fiscally irresponsible because you have a narrative about black men, you destroy what they create, what they own, or what they've amassed in their lifetime. You know, so that's what's going on. Now I've been going in here for over an hour. I'm gonna finish watching these games, and I gotta go get something to eat. The Raiders look like they're about to win, but the Chargers are on a tear right now, and I cannot believe that this game is so close with Dallas and Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh is moving it. They starting to run this thing on them. But y'all take care. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me.